I guess we can start now. I would like to welcome everyone to a new episode of Pada 101. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. So if there are any issues, please let us know in the chat. Um, so yes, greetings from Bangkok. My name is Rung Tepkeo. I'm the manager for membership engagement at Pada. And with me here today speaking are Paul Poronkan and Graham Harper. Paul is the Director of Communications and Government Affairs, and Graham is the Director of Sustainability and Social Responsibility. First of all, we all hope that you are all safe and healthy during these times. And thank you for taking the time to join us here this afternoon or morning or evening, wherever you're based. Before we start jumping into the topic and the agenda, just a few notes. If you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A in the question and answer box. So we will have a Q&A session at the end of this webinar where we'll be able to answer as many questions as we can. And I think, yes, and then second, we will have a few poll questions during the webinar. So they will pop out in between the webinars. So please have fun and answer the questions. And yes, on the agenda today, I will be talking about the Pada membership benefits and the newest updates that we have for you. And then my colleagues will be talking about the sustainability part and the Crisis Resource Center that we have just launched. Let's get started. So here you can see the Pada membership team. The core team is based in Bangkok, and then we also do have regional directors based in Europe and China. Before I start getting into the topic, I just want to give a brief overview of what Pada is. I think most of you are familiar with Pada already, but just in case. So we are a membership organization in the travel and tourism industry, and we have been founded in 1951. Originally, we were based in, we started out in Hawaii, then moved to San Francisco, and we're based in Bangkok now for the last 21 years. Yes, so that's just to give you a bit of an idea. What we're doing is we are providing different benefits to our members and how they basically benefits that can support their business in different situations. And as you can see here, we call it pillars, different pillars, 4 different pillars that we are offering to our members to support their business. The first one is networking, which I will talk about in a minute. Then we have insights, branding, like how to use Pada to brand your organization or your company better. And then the last part is on human capital development, which is the people part. So that's the networking part. So here I want to talk about, of course, the biggest part of networking is the annual Pada events that we have every year. Generally, we do have 4 major events throughout the year. Due to the situation this year, there have been a lot of changes, which a lot of events had been canceled or postponed. So similar things have happened at Pada. For Pada events, we had to postpone some events. So therefore, we have focused a lot on online events in the past 1.5 to 2 months. And I will share the link with you later on where you can find updates to online events and also upcoming in-person events on our website later. The other thing that we're very excited about in terms of networking is that we are able to offer our members an offline opportunity to connect with other members, which one is personal introduction emails, which are done by the Pada membership team. So if you're a member, we are happy to introduce you to other members. And second is that we have just launched the Pada Member Directory 2020 this week. So I'll give you a look at that. This is what it looks like. It's exclusively available to members. You can download it for your use. You will find like all PADA, here's an overview of the content. So you will find all PADA members listed in here with a company profile, logo, contact information. But besides that, we are also displaying all the things that PADA has to offer in this directory. So this is also a good source for you to understand better what is PADA actually offering, what are the benefits that I could use. So if you are already a member, please feel free and download it directly from the store, or reach out to us if you are not sure how to get it, and we're happy to send you the information on that. The second part that I'm talking about is the insights part, which I've mentioned. So the insights part is basically our publications, the PADA publications, and the data. First, I'm going to talk about the publications here. On the screen right now, you can see a selection of different PADA publications that are available on the store. Today, I will be focusing on two parts. The first one is PADA publications, which we are focusing, where we are partnering with other PADA members or partners. So here you can see, for example, the Connected Visitor Economy, which is a monthly publication that we're working with a PADA member for the content, which is a great branding opportunity for our members. And then this is another example where we have worked with a PADA partner on a survey on the Chinese tourist travelers, which is also available on the store. So if you're interested in any of these, go have a look on the PADA store. And as I said, if you're a member, you are also able to partner with us on any of these publications. The second part, which we are very excited about, is we've just launched the Asia Pacific visitor forecast for 2020 to 2024, which gives you a forecast of the next 5 years in terms of visitor arrivals into the Asia Pacific region. And to make it even better, we are providing 39 specific reports on that in terms of 39 different destinations. So this is a very great opportunity, and we are very excited to offer a special benefit to PADA members this year due to the current situation, where new members are able to get 5 destination forecast reports complimentary, which is a value of $20,000. So yeah, that's the first time I think that we're able to offer this, and we're very excited about that as well. The second part of the insights is the data. So our data platform is called PADA Empower. As a member, you will get the login details, and you can go log in and find a lot of basically raw data for your use, for your marketing use, or maybe research uses. It includes data like visitor arrivals, spending data, seat capacity. So you can find a bunch of different data on PADA Empower for your use as a member. So here we are coming to the topic that I talked about earlier, the online events. I call it PADA webinars here because we had a lot of webinars in the past, such as this one that you're currently attending. And we are also having another webinar coming up next week, which the topic is Impact of COVID-19 on PADA Visitor Forecast 2020 to 2024, where we are partnering with the Hong Kong Polytechnic University and Euromonitor International in terms of speakers. If you're interested in signing up for this one, register, please go to the website pada.org/upcoming online events, which you see here on the screen, to register for any upcoming event that we're having. So this is generally a good source for you to see any upcoming online events that PADA is offering and to register for them. And I've also shared our PADA YouTube channel for any recordings in case you've missed a webinar in the past. A lot of the times we're able to share the recordings with you. I will not go into much detail on the branding part and the human capital development, but I just quickly want to tell you that in terms of branding, there are two things that are most popular with our members. So one is the news and press release opportunity that you have if you're a PATA member. So as a member, you can send us your press releases, your news, and we feature them free of charge on our website and on our social media channel. And as a new member, you will get introduced on the PATA newsletter, as well as on the PATA blog and all the social media channels as well, which is a great branding opportunity for you and your company. And then last but not least, just quickly talking about the Human Capital Development Program that we're having. So we normally do have the PATA Academy HCD twice a year, which is a training program, which is a very intimate format. So there will be like normally maximum 25 to 30 participants, and the topics that you will be having a training on is always very like focused on what's up to date in the industry or what's requested in the industry at that moment. So for this year's PATA Academy HCD, please please keep your eyes open on the website or on any channels that you're following us, or send us an email if you need more information. So this is the part about the membership, the PATA membership benefits. I am now handing over to my colleague, Mr. Graham Harper. So before I hand over to him, I will announce that now we have a quick poll for you. So please feel free to participate in this quick poll. And I'll give you like a couple of seconds, and then once you have participated, great. Please, Graham, please take over, and yes, thank you.
Rung, thank you very much. A wonderful introduction, and welcome to all participants. It's a real pleasure this afternoon to see so many people joining with us. Next slide, please. There we go. The PATA team, the Sustainable and Social Responsibility team, it's a small team, and we work closely with Paul for the Government Affairs and Communications. Next slide, please. With the sustainability at PATA, we've really tried to focus on protecting our very reason for being. When we think of travel in the Asia Pacific, and in the last years when people were coming, they were coming because of these amazing destinations, beautiful beaches, cultures, food, all of these different things that make travel what it is. But as we succeed, we find that there's problems that arise. And we find that we have to initiate activities in order to be able to protect what are our intrinsic values and what makes travel in our regions so special. So to do this, we're really looking to inspire innovation that will work towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And in order to do this, for our members, for you, we want to do three things. First, we want to add voice. We want to add voice to what you are already doing. And that's why we ask members to send us your sustainability initiatives. Give us your news. Tell us what you were doing. We can put these into our newsletters. We can put them on our blogs. We can put them into our social media so that it highlights to the industry what you are working on. Second, we want to build capacity. And this capacity is to be able to analyze and manage data-driven, market-oriented activities that you are doing. And the third is we want to manage projects. And when we're managing projects, we want to manage them for, with, and by our members. So these are projects that are supporting the membership that PATA is working with. Next slide, please. As we work through this strategy, we have a very tactical focus, and that's destinations. And there's an important reason why we want to have destinations at our core. Number one is the ability and the capacity for destinations to be able to implement national regulations influences the private sector investments. Secondly, the ability for those destinations to be able to support the private sector initiatives influences the investments. And the third is that the better the capacity, the better the infrastructure in the destination, the more exponentially it will impact the local population's quality of life. So being able to support our destinations is crucial. And yes, you're correct. Next slide, please. And you can just see here, these are some of the tactical initiatives that we have taken on at PATA over the past year, working with a number of national and international partners in a number of different areas with a focus on the destinations. Now, while we're focusing on the destinations, this is to improve the business environment for our SMEs, our corporate partners, to be able to thrive. Next slide, please. And these fit into a number of different spheres. So we're looking at research and policy. We're looking at technology and infrastructure. We're looking at capacity building. And each of these different initiatives may fall into 1, 2, or even 3 of these different important areas. Next slide, please. Just some highlight of a few of these different initiatives to give you a flavor of the kind of work that's going on. Number one, PATA has formed a partnership with Cornell University and the Travel Foundation, doing research on destination management organization training. We've been reaching out to specific destinations to find out what are their training needs. What is it that they need to learn in order to be able to improve their capacity to be able to develop the destination? The plan is for this research to then go into a curriculum from Cornell University for actual training for destination management officers. Next, please. The next initiative is an EU Switch Asia project, and it's been called TourLink. And this is very much focusing on the supply chain, the tourism supply chain within Thailand. Now, while we're doing a Thai focus here, there is very much a regional perspective, because the lessons learned from working within the Thai travel industry needs to then go out to others within the region. And this is very much looking at how the sustainable development of tourism can affect the supply chain for poverty alleviation, for proper procurement and purchasing, for a low carbon and circular economy. Next slide, please. We've also partnered with ADB, the Asian Development Bank, and a new division that they've established called ADB Ventures. And ADB Ventures is looking at corporate innovation. For this project, we brought in different PATA partners, PATA members, my apologies. PATA members like Jetwing Hotels, Hilton Hotels, and Minor Hotels. All 3 strong PATA members, but looking for corporate innovation in clean technology. So in their operations, what technology can be used to help them reduce energy, reduce water, reduce waste, with triple bottom line impacts, because we're definitely looking at profit. They're for-profit companies, and by doing this, they can lower that. Second, people, because by improving this, we're making living standards within the communities better. And the third is planet, Because by lowering energy consumption, being more efficient with water, and better management of waste, we can drastically decrease our impacts, our business impacts, and better achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide, please. And the last to mention is just climate change. PATA is taking this seriously, and we're actually doing an audit of all of our 2019 business initiatives, all of the business that we did in 2019. We're coming out with a total carbon footprint and then trying to put a price to that so that in our future business dealings, we can actually try to become a climate positive organization. By doing this, we can actually help our members to set that up and do in the same way for themselves. And this is very important because though today we are in the middle of one of the most devastating crises to ever hit our industry, there's going to be more coming. And we have the looming climate change crisis. And in order to be able to meet these current and upcoming challenges, we have to be able to plan for better habitat protection, better carbon offsetting, and to even be able to mitigate things such as the virus spillover that have occurred recently. Next slide, please. With this, I'd like to transition to the next part of the presentation, and my colleague, Paul, will be talking more about how PATA is meeting these challenges, but let's just look at what is currently happening. We're looking at a 2.7 trillion loss globally, 100 million jobs globally, but within our area, the Asia Pacific, about 1 trillion in losses business-wide, and 63 million plus jobs at risk. These are difficult times, and PATA is working to try to assist these. So with this, I'd like to pass on to my colleague, Paul. And Paul, maybe you could tell more about the PATA Crisis Resource Center. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Graham. I think you want to show the first poll results if I'm not mistaken. So Rune, do you want to put those first poll results up? Okay. So these are some of the first the results from the first poll results. As you can see, many people are looking at community support alternatives after when we go into the recovery. So that is good to know. It's good to hear that people are thinking about sustainability issues as you look forward to recover from the current crisis. I think we have another poll. I just want to put that up before I go into my presentation. So can we get that one up here real quickly? And this one's an easier question, only a yes or no. So as we get, okay, yeah. So the question here is, do you have a crisis management plan? Yes or no? And just want to know what you guys hear today, if you guys have one in place. I'll talk about that a little bit later as we go through this presentation. So I'm going to go move right along ahead with our presentation here. So as I was mentioned before, my name is Paul Brancan. I am the Director of Communications and External Affairs at PATA. The external affairs aspect is mainly government relations, but I've been working a lot with a lot of the recovery efforts that we've done in the past or resilience efforts in the past at PATA. So before I get into the Crisis Resource Center, I just want to talk a little bit about what PATA has done in the past first in terms of recovery. So these are just a couple of examples that I'm showing you now of course, after the terror attacks in Bali in 2002, we put together a task force. We were asked by the government to put together a task force to help them recover and provide report and recommendations for their road to recovery. We did the same for Nepal after the devastating earthquake in 2015. And of course, we also published in 2011 a bounce back report to give our members, actually the industry, because it's free for everyone, just some guidelines and tips for how to recover after a crisis. A lot of these things are these are available on the PATA store, so you can easily just go to our website, go to the research, and just click on the PATA store. The task force reports are something that are very specific. We leverage our members, so the expertise of our members to help with creating these task force reports, as well as the bounce back. We leverage the expertise of some of our members to help put together this booklet for the industry. So these are just some of the past things we've done in recovery. We've done many other things, you know, with the floods here in Thailand. We're out in front, we're talking to the media, we're trying to advocate on behalf of our members on some of the issues that are happening all over the world. So this is just some of the recovery efforts that we've done. Can you get to the next slide, please? But what's really important is that, you know, you actually want to always try to talk more about resiliency, because if we're more resilient, then we don't have to focus so much on recovery. After, you know, with recovery, things have already happened. So what we've been advocating since 2014, when Mara came in, is that resiliency, having crisis mitigation plans, crisis management plans is extremely important. So from 2014 to about 2017, we were working with the Global Initiative on Disaster Risk Management, which is a part of GIZ. It's an organization at the German government in partnership with the United Nations Office on Disaster Risk Reduction on the Hotel Resilience Initiative. It was, the initiative was to provide awareness of disaster risk in the tourism sector, increasing comprehensive risk management capacities, and strengthening resilience in hotels and tourist destinations. That has actually moved along. Our initiative has then created there was an organization that was created out of this, and they were able to create some auditing standards that used by hotels. If you want any more information about that, just let me know. Some of the other things that we've done also is last year, this was in November 2019, worked with the Center for Crisis and Risk Communications to put out a VE bulletin on tourism resiliency in the wake of a disaster. We've also done many other things on resiliency, reports on resiliency. You can easily go through our store and just sort of go and search some of the previous publications. I'm showing the last picture here about the PATA Annual Summit 2018. And for those of you who aren't aware, during the annual summit, we have a UN-WTO PATA debate. It's a debate between it's a debate with the public and private sector sort of debating on a certain topic. That year, the debate topic was, what is the biggest issue for the travel and tourism industry going forward? So Team A, which is with the tourism minister from Jamaica, as well as the PATA Face of the Future 2018, chose crisis management, climate, and resiliency. The other team with the executive director from MGTO, the Macau Government Tourism Office, as well as the Face of the Future 2017, they chose over-tourism. At that point in time, over-tourism was the biggest issue everywhere. People were talking about it. You saw all the media channels talking about it. Every event was talking about over-tourism. So at the beginning of the debate, everyone chose over-tourism as the biggest issue the travel and tourism industry faced in the future. However, after the debate, the other team had made such a good argument that the crowd, our participants, changed their minds and actually agreed that crisis resiliency was the biggest issue for the travel and tourism industry going forward. And look where we've come to today. In terms of resiliency, I do want, and why we talk about resiliency with us, why we brought sustainability first, and Graham talks about that as PATA. Resiliency is actually a necessary component of sustainable and responsible development. Sometimes it's often forgotten, right? When you think about sustainability and social responsibility, you're thinking about maybe equality, diversity, you're thinking about maybe environmental policies, but resiliency and crisis management is actually an important part that's sometimes overlooked. We had a business impact survey. I'll talk a little bit about that more later, but early results showed that 65 of those respondents did not have a crisis management plan in place. Out of the ones that did have it in place, actually 8% of those respondents noted that their crisis management plans was very effective. So it's really important to actually think about resiliency as you create your recovery plans. And we'll get back to that a little bit later, but it's something that you just need to consider as we start going to talk about the Crisis Resource Center. So with that, let's go to the next slide and we'll jump right into the Crisis Resource Center. So with the current pandemic, this is sort of an unprecedented crisis for the industry. A lot of people ask, oh, is there a blueprint for recovery? Is there something that we can look back on to serve as an example? There are no examples. You know, SARS or 9/11, those didn't have as much bigger impact as the current pandemic has. You haven't seen the whole world shut down. So when people keep asking, like, oh, is there a blueprint for recovery? There isn't. We've never faced something like this before. So a lot of people are looking at what the different scenarios are in recovery. But what we found was that in the beginning of the crisis, there was a lot of misinformation. There was a lot of people that didn't know where to go to get information. And in in January of this year, Mario, our CEO, put out a statement saying, it's really important for the industry to really rely on reputable information, on reliable sources, and stay away from some of the unreliable sources out there that you might get across your social media channels. It's something that we've been constantly saying since January. I think our statement in January, we're the first international organization to actually make any statement about the current pandemic, if not the first. So with that, because of that, then we created the Crisis Resource Center to give a unified platform of reliable information, up-to-date data, policy statements, authoritative information for the industry, for the users to be able to see what is going on in the industry and how we can recover. So can we get to the next slide, please? So I'm just going to break down some of the sections that we have on the Crisis Resource Center. The most important aspect that we've created on the Crisis Resource Center is the government resources page. Here we'll have update information on aid or relief packages provided by your governments, right? A lot of times it's extremely difficult to find the information. Sometimes you'll see news reports out there, but actually you can't find the government information. Where is it? Can I get aid or relief or assistance? So what we've done is put all the information easily at your fingertips. You can go to that page, click on the map of your destination to see if there's available, and then go right to the government page. So then that will give you the information on how to then get aid or relief for your company in that particular destination. For the countries that don't have any, then they're not listed. So it's really great. We have a couple of PhD students at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University helping us out update this on a daily basis. We're about to add 65 more destinations to this list, and it's been a great resource, and it's something where we're very proud to be able to give it to you, because it's really difficult sometimes I know from talking to some of the industry stakeholders, it's tough to find that information. You'll see the news reports out there, but you actually won't find it on the government website. So it's some of the issues that we have too as we're looking for government resources that are available. Can we get to the next slide, please? The next section on the Crisis Resource Center is the Tourism Recovery Monitor. Here we have it's a unified platform. So here there's a lot of organizations out there that have dedicated COVID-19 pages. Here we're relying on our partners and members who have reliable data, updated data, to then be able to share that particular page with our members. It's broken down by categories. So here you'll see aviation, but underneath that there's more categories. So for aviation, you have Cerium, IATA, OAG. Underneath that, you have hospitality and of course STR. Underneath that, you'll have market analysis. So we have the link to Adara's page, Sojourn, or Forward Keys. Then we have China markets with our partner in Dragon Trail. And then of course we have direct links to other organizations and associations like OECD, ACI, the World Health Organization, UNWTO, and WTTC. As our vice chairman has says, this this particular page allows you as an organization to find out when those green shoots will be happening, and then when you can start making sort of recovery steps. We know this will be a phased recovery, so by having easy access to where's all this data in one place, it allows you then to be able to make those decisions on what steps you need to take when and what time to do that. So can we get to the next page? So before I talked about the business impact survey, this is another section on our website. I told you about some of the stats we had about that. Currently the impact survey is still open. We will be closing it tomorrow, at the end of the day tomorrow. So we do ask you to please fill out the survey today. It'll allow us to better understand the current how the current pandemic is affecting your organization. And with all that information, it will allow us to work with policymakers and other stakeholders on your behalf towards the recovery efforts. You know, we've been talking about this with a lot of our partners out there, a lot of other stakeholders. We do a weekly call with UNWTO, WTDC, World Economic Forum. It's a group call. It's the Travel and Tourism Task Force. And we've mentioned this impact survey a couple times already. And they're very interested to know the results of this, because all this information is helping us as a group work with different stakeholders to plan sort of the next recovery efforts as we go forward. So as I said, this will close tomorrow. If you could then please go and fill out the survey, it'd be very helpful for us. Once we've closed it, we will be analyzing all the results and putting that into sort of a short report, and then that will also be available on the Crisis Resource Center. It will allow us then, of course, to see how we can further help our members and all industry stakeholders look to the future when travel begins to open. So, and just another section on the website, just wanted to quickly go to is the next slide, please. The news section. Here we do a weekly recap, COVID-19 weekly recap. So it just gives you sort of just some of the news that are coming around from different agencies, IATA, Forward Keys, Adara, Cirium, that they're putting out. So just in one place, we release it every Thursday. It's actually on the PATA blog, but on the Crisis Resource Center, it's also easily found there. There also, you can, on the Resource Center, also link back to our YouTube channel, where we've also have all the recordings of previous webinars that we've done over the past month and a half. If you haven't checked out our webinars, please do check them out now. They've very well received. We did one last week, close to 1,000, actually over 1,200 people had registered for it, and very well received. We had The Economist, Forward Keys, Adara Presents, and then I was joined on a panel with MMGY Global as well as 2031. So just the next slide here is that you can also get all these updates if you sign up for our weekly newsletter. Just give you just a note. If you sign up today, you'll receive a download, a link to the PATA Quarterly Tourism Monitor, the fourth quarter of 2019, as well as accompanying graphics. But of course, in our weekly newsletter, we have all the updates at PATA. Of course, right now, a lot of the updates are about the current situation as it impacts the industry. So sign up today, and you can easily then find out what's new on the Crisis Resource Center or what's new at PATA, whether it's a new webinar or a new publication, sort of like our forecast. We've also released a destination forecast as well. So the last slide here, as I wrap this up. Oh, no, back one more. So future developments. So we've launched this a month ago, and now that we've gotten a lot of good feedback from a lot of our partners, industry stakeholders, and we're looking to expand the content on the website. We already have gathered a group of experts, a team of experts in crisis recovery, and we're working now to flesh out further content for the industry to look at how we can recover. This is there's been a lot of interest, and a lot of members have asked us, what kind of content can we build. So, we're trying to get that feedback from you to see what are the areas that we can sort of assist you as we look towards recovery. So please do go check out the Crisis Resource Center. If you have any questions about it, feel free, you can ask me in the Q&A. Of course, you can also email us as well. And that's just a quick brief about the Crisis Resource Center, and as well as some of the work that we've done in crisis, whether it's recovery or resilience. And with that, I'll give this back over to Room for the Q&A.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, thank you, Paul, and great. So first of all, here we have the results for the second poll question, which is pretty much a 50-50, I would say. And yes. So now I would like to invite Gray back to answer maybe some questions that we received from our participants. Let's see what we have here. Maybe this one. I would say I will read it out loud, and then whoever wants to reply it maybe just goes ahead. The first one, oh, we have another poll here. Poll question. Please feel free to answer it quickly. And I will start reading out the first question. This one goes directly to Paul. Hi, Paul. Tawfiq here from Bangladesh chapter. How can we get the PATA Bangladesh Tourism Rapid Recovery Task Force?
Okay. Hi, Tawfiq. It's good to see that you're here. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're safe. Can't wait to see you in person once this is all over. In terms of the recovery, excuse me, the Rapid Recovery Task Force. So primarily, it's something that governments will have to send a formal official letter to our CEO asking for the task force, and then we will respond accordingly. MAR will respond accordingly. So this is actually from a government. It's a government initiative that they have to ask us formally, and then after that, we then will work with them on how then we can create this task force for them. There has been talk about corporations asking for it, and of course, it would be the same process. You just need to then email Mara directly. If you want to know the process further, you can email me at paul@pata.org. But yes, it's a very formal process, and then once Mara gets it, he will then contact the governments or whoever sent the letter directly about how you move forward in that regard.
The next question is, I will read it out and then see who wants to answer it. It's regarding due to COVID-19, our travel industry is completely locked down. What are some of the things that hotels, travel agents, and tour operators, as well as guides, can do to prepare for, I guess, after? It doesn't say clearly, but I guess for like, how can we prepare for after this?
I'll go first, I guess. Well, I mean, right now, it's from talking to some stakeholders. It's important now for us to take care of our employees and, of course, our local communities. This is first and foremost a public health issue. So that's the first thing that you should be doing. In terms of how do you prepare for recovery. Well, you're seeing a lot of these plans go into place now. I think IATA, TAT actually just issued a press release the other day about some hygiene standards, some safety and hygiene standards. So these are some things that you should take into consideration, that you might have to then look at some hygiene or sanitation, standards and how to sanitize your business. There's going to be, look at travel behavior will change, right? So then you have to consider like, okay, I need to change my business to adapt to this new travel behavior. People will be traveling to places where they feel safe. Duty of care is going to be extremely important going forward. So, you have to make sure that it's clean. It's clean. You have all the safety precautions in place, and then be able to then market that and make sure it's visible for for your customers or your potential customers as you as we go into the recovery phase. So that's just something quick that you can do now. But yes, you want to add anything to that, Graham?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. I think that's actually very comprehensive. I would just add, what I heard was sort of 3 different areas. Let's say hotels, tour operators, guides. I think it's actually different for each of them. And what Paul has already said is, to start planning now, which no matter what area of travel tourism you're in, is the most important. But specifically for hotels, is especially in this region, we're already starting to see the domestic starting to open up. Now, you don't want to just start cutting your prices, but instead you want to be creative in the kind of packaging that you're able to put together for the domestic market. Once again, for the tour operators, you're going to have to realize that your traditional products aren't necessarily going to work anymore. No, nor are your traditional markets, source markets, going to be working anymore. So you need to look very, very carefully at your products and try to decide which ones do you want to keep, which ones do you want to highlight that will add the most value to a destination and allow you to also try to tap into that domestic market in a different way. And that leads into the third, and potentially the area that I'm most passionate about, which are tour guides, because over the past 20 years in the travel industry, I've worked with hundreds and even thousands of tour guides. And they're all out of work right now. And I feel for them. And I've been in touch with a few that have had a very difficult time. A lot of the ones I know are working in the international market. That's going to take some time to come back. Start thinking about how you can start to serve that domestic market as it comes back. Try that, and maybe you can get some income coming in. Thank you.
Just to add to that, I mean, it's also important to stay on top of what's going on in the industry, and that's why we have the Crisis Resource Center. I mean, because we're already hearing people talk about some of the recovery plans as we go forward. How domestic is the first phase, but there'll be several phases as we go forward, right? There'll be first domestic, and then after that, we're here to talk of tourism bubbles. I think there's a story just in CNN the other day about the first tourism bubble between Australia and New Zealand, because if you're a destination that doesn't have domestic, well, then you might have to then prepare for okay, what is that first tourism bubble for, let's say, if I was like Singapore, so then you have to then prepare your marketing for that scenarios. So that's what I said. The crisis resource center is important, because then it allows you to sort of look at how these, all the updates that are happening in one place, and then start your planning and recovery efforts, especially in your marketing efforts, as we look at different phases as we sort of slowly recover over the next 12 to 18 months.
Thanks, Paul and Gray. I have one more question for Gray here. It says, how does the impact of COVID-19 could potentially change the tourist behavior into becoming more responsible?
Well, that's the big hope, because we've never had a better opportunity to actually make the change. The evidence is clear. Tourism has a definite impact on local environments. And we need to plan better as we move forward to be able to mitigate the impacts as we renew our tourism industry. So how can we do that? We can do that by planning for habitat protection at the destination level. We can do that by planning low carbon impact tours. We can do that by carefully planning our tourism activities together with the local communities and in support of those cultures and intrinsic benefits that can come from it. So I think there's a lot of thinking that needs to go into it, and careful planning. But we have that opportunity now, and we have to take it.
Thanks. I will now, so these are very mixed questions, so I will go ahead now and answer one related to membership. Someone is asking, what are the different levels to access PADA Empower, the data platform? So as a PADA headquarter member, normally you will have the international level, which you can find on empower.org/FAQ. You can see the different levels and what you will have access to. So normally as a HQ member, you will have international level, and then, but you can send us an email if you need more detailed information about that. Then I have one more, which popped up twice, so I will address this to Paul. Someone from Bangladesh is asking
Yes.
Oh, you saw that already? Okay.
I see it a couple times. So as I said, you can email just send me your email or leave me your email, and what I'll do is I'll give you the email that you need to send an official letter to. It'll be you need to address it to Mario Hardy, our CEO, and it has to be an official letter from the government organization, and then with that we will then review it and then get back to you on requirements of the task force. Yeah, so please do shoot me an email, or there's a membership team email here. You can just email them and they'll forward it to me, and I can then give you the proper process of how to move forward in that regard.
Yes, we're almost running out of time, so maybe we'll answer one or two more questions, but for any questions that haven't been answered, please feel free to send an email to membership@pada.org or to ssr@pada.org if it's specific to sustainability or any of their projects, and we will make sure to get those questions answered by email then. Since we get this question quite often, I will answer, how can we avail individual membership? So PADA is an industry membership organization, therefore our membership is for organizations, businesses only. We don't have individual membership except for students. So if you're a student, there is a separate membership option available. If you're a student and you're interested, just send us an email as well, and we'll send you more information on that. Let me see if there's one more question that we can answer before we close this webinar for today. Okay, maybe this one. Are there Asian countries that have already announced some packages for the tourism industry? So I think that would be on the Crisis Resource Center available.
Yes. There actually have been. There have been several. I think Thailand, of course, has one. Singapore has a very extensive one. I mean, we're doing it globally, so it's the team has just been looking all over the world at the different resources that are available. So it's tough to see what kind of package incentives have been offered. In terms of just Asia, I mean, they have mentioned some of the ones that they thought were really good. Like Bahrain, I think has a 3-month pretty aggressive aid package. I think it's like 3 months and no taxes. It was something very extensive. You can look at it on the website, just what they're doing. You know, I'll let you guys know this, that you know, it's not just the industry stakeholders that are looking at these government resources. Other governments are looking at these links as well, because they need to have a better idea of what other governments are doing to help their stakeholders. So the government resources are actually really good for not just people on the private side, but also for the public sector. I said, just you have to look around, because I said we've been going through them almost on a daily basis, and there is a summary, but we're going to get to the summary parts when we start looking at the impact survey. When we put out the report for the impact survey, there'll actually be a section a little bit about some of the insights we've pulled from as we've looked around at the different government resources around the world.
Okay, thank you, Paul. There are still unanswered questions and questions coming in. I'm sorry for any question we haven't answered. As I said, please send us an email and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Is there any last words from your side, Graham or Paul, that you want to say?
No, I liked so somebody say about the focus on staycation. I like that idea. I think I just saw a great deal the other day about dinner and a night at a hotel in Bangkok for a fairly cheap price. I think people are being creative now. I think what you have to sort of be able to think about outside the box at this current time. I know it's a difficult time for everyone, and there's a lot of pressure, not just in terms of trying to keep your company afloat, but taking care of your family, being safe, making sure your kids are being educated. So it's difficult, but PATA's here to help, and we hope that you guys join us or stick with us as we look to the future, and hopefully we can all then see each other face to face at one of our events in the future.
Yeah. Yes, I also saw a couple of questions from PATA members who have been answering how we can support at this moment. Please reach out to us privately, like by email, because we are then able to provide you way more detailed support than we can do right now due to the lack of timing and circumstances. So thank you everyone for joining. We hope you enjoyed this webinar and it was insightful for you. Please, stay updated, and hopefully we'll see you soon at another PATA webinar. So have a good day, good evening.
Next week.
Yes, of course, next week. And yes, bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.